What's up, everyone? Aaron Nagler here for PackersNews.com, live on Facebook late Friday afternoon. End of the week, a bit of news here and there. Jordan Matthews visited shortly after I got done talking to you fine folks yesterday. However, I do believe he has left Green Bay without a deal. I can't confirm that, but that's the sense I'm getting. Tramon Williams obviously has signed. The Packers announced it earlier this afternoon. And I'm here to answer any and all Packers-related questions that you may have. Great to see you all. Megan, hello. Steve, thanks for joining us. Rob, good afternoon. Happy Friday, Denny. Thanks for jumping on here. Kevin starts us off with, if the Packers sign Matthews, would Cobb be gone? No. Matthews isn't about to step in and be the player that Cobb is in this offense. Now, he does do his best work in the slot. There's no doubt about that. But he is coming off a bunch of injuries, 2 separate surgeries, and I do not doubt for a second that he will be dirt cheap. I heard from a trusted source that he was offered a little more over $1 million for 1 year down in Arizona. I haven't heard if the contract terms were talked about at all in Green Bay, but I cannot imagine that he will be very expensive and or count a whole lot against the Packers cap. If they did decide to bring him in and sign him to a deal, I don't think it would require any kind of movements on the roster. Not to mention, Cobb is much, much better than Matthews is at this point in their careers. Chances of trading Clay, slim to none, and Slim just left town. Clay's cap hit makes trading him, coupled with his age, makes trading him pretty much impossible. Is Dom Capers doing anything now? That's a funny question. Not that I know of. Do you see Matthews starting opposite side of Adams with Cobb still in the slot? Well, they have to sign Matthews first. I think they would rotate him in, most likely with Geronimo Allison if that were to be the case. But I think they would have a pretty decent rotation of all those guys on the perimeter. Even Cobb plays outside every once in a while, and I tend to think that's what they would do with Matthews if they ended up signing him. But they could also do a 2-by-2 where they have Geronimo Allison and Adams on the outside and Cobb and Matthews inside and on either slot. They did that quite a little bit in 2015, the last time, or actually, sorry, 2011, last time Philbin was in town. Do you think there would be any interest in Sue? I doubt that, man. That guy's looking to get paid, and I don't see the Packers having the capital or, honestly, the impetus to go after Ndamukong Suh. Not, another reason would probably be because I don't think Aaron Rodgers would be too pleased, although I don't think that would be a driving reason. But he's going to get paid. He's going to get big money. He's stated point blank that he is looking for a big payday, and that's not going to come in Green Bay. Signing Williams saved me from having a panic attack. Well, Sean, we don't want you to have a panic attack. What's your guess for the Packers pick at 14 this year? The best defensive player available, I think, is your safest bet. Now, anything can happen. They could trade up. They could trade down. But I tend to think they'll stick there at 14, and they'll take the highest-graded defensive player on their board. Happy Friday. Oh, thanks, Adam. It's very nice of you to say. Kevin, when will you shave or dye the beard? Man, I'm an all-natural kind of guy. I don't know. I'm just growing it out right now. Should we draft Calvin Ridley at 14? If that's their highest graded player, maybe they do. I tend to doubt it. But, they could use some an influx of talent there at wide receiver, young talent. Maybe if they have him graded as a, blue chip prospect, there's very little doubt that they should make that pick. But that all depends on their evaluation of Ridley. DRC, Drew, good question. He's still out there. He did indicate, I think last week, that he is willing to wait until April to sign. I think he just wants to chill out for a little bit. I know he was in Washington, but did not sign there after his visit. He canceled a trip to New Orleans and indicated that he's gonna hang out for a little while. So I haven't heard any interest from the Packers that way in DRC, but you never know. The longer he's out there, maybe he becomes a little bit more attractive. What about Melvin from Indy? He signed with the Oakland Raiders. The Packers did have interest in him, and they had reached out to his representatives. But as far as I know, as far as I saw anyway, that I've read around, the Packers and the Raiders were the two teams showing the most interest initially. He only took one visit. That was out in Oakland, and then he signed a one-year deal at the end of that visit. Is Matthews still in Green Bay? I can't get 100% confirmation, but I'm gathering that he is not. What would signing Matthews do for Ty Montgomery playing more wideout? Well, it would definitely take out a few snaps. I think it's going to affect playing time rotation. There's no doubt about that. But I still think they would be using Ty as a slash type player, so to speak, between wide receiver and running back. If Matthews is that cheap, they should sign him. He's clearly interested. I'm sure he's taking visits right now. He's going to take whatever other visits he can muster to try and drum up some kind of market. His representation wouldn't be doing their client any favors if they didn't. But you got to think, if the choices are between Arizona and Green Bay, man, I mean, how do you not jump on that? Other than maybe the weather thing. But you can go and play with Aaron Rodgers and contend for a Super Bowl, or you can go and play with Sam Bradford, maybe, if he survives training camp. I mean, I don't know, man. That seems like a no-brainer to me. Is Janis gone? Well, he is a free agent, so he's free to sign with any team. I have heard zero regarding his market. I haven't heard anything. His agent has, funnily enough, his agent right at the start of free agency said they won't be talking to any press during free agency. So they've been completely lights out. They may be getting calls, they may be taking visits, but I haven't heard anything. Janis, I would tend to think the Packers would keep that door open. They would probably like to have him back on their number to come back and be their special teams ace, but they're not going to go chasing him. Do we make a contract offer to Matthews? Zach, I don't know. I've tried all afternoon to try and find that out, but can't seem to get any kind of feedback there. So I'm going to guess no, but we'll find out. If they did, sometimes they let these guys out the door, and then the agent checks back in the evening, and we get some kind of update. But right now, it's all locked up. I haven't heard anything. No need for Matthews. We got Clark. Clark is a really intriguing prospect. Obviously, we saw a little bit of it last year at the end of the year. He's definitely a physical freak. There's no doubt about that. Matthews is, the big type receiver that the Packers like. He's got a lot more experience playing the position than Clark does. I still think bringing Matthews is a decent idea. And, if they go to camp and Clark shines and completely outplays him, then you can cut him, and it's probably not a big financial commitment, so it's no problem. Go for the veteran running back or stick with the rookies. Nick, I think they'll definitely stick with what they have. They're not rookies anymore. They're entering their second year. I do think, I said earlier this week, I think if there's a value sitting there in the draft, they may select one, say on day 2 or 3. But I would be very surprised if they spent any free agency dollars at the running back spot. Why not try getting Eric Reed? Well, we all know about the storyline revolving around Reed in regards to his anthem protests last year, in the last couple of years. I tend to think that has very little to do with the Packers' inactivity when it comes to Reed. They drafted Josh Jones for a reason. That was for the eventuality that Morgan Burnett would move on. Now Morgan Burnett has moved on, and I tend to think they're going to go with young Josh Jones. Maybe if Reed continues to sit and the value is so great that it's becomes incredibly attractive to Brian Gutekunst, maybe he makes that call. But right now, I tend to think Reed will finally find a market and he'll sign before the Packers get interested. What's the update on Tramon Williams and Jordan Matthews? Well, Tramon Williams has signed. We don't know details on the contract yet. We'll probably have that tomorrow. It's a 2-year deal. We do know that. As far as Jordan Matthews, he did visit, but he has left. I'm not sure if he's still in the city of Green Bay, but I know he's not in Lambeau Field anymore. Do you think signing Williams is just like signing House last year? Hope it plans out. Frank, here's the difference. When they signed House, they signed him because he knew the system, and that in particular is similar to the signing of Tramon Williams because he has played in Mike Pettine's system. There's no doubt those are the similarities when you look at the two transactions. However, House was on a big-time downswing when he came from Jacksonville. He had been benched. His play had fallen off. The Packers were hoping to get, the guy that they had 3 years previous when he left. They had drafted him. They had groomed him. They had brought him up. They were hoping getting him back in Capers' scheme would bring out the player that they had let walk a few years prior. Whereas with bringing back Tramon Williams, they're bringing in a guy who had played extremely well last year. He's, where House went like this towards his last year, or during his last year in Jacksonville, Tramon Williams very much went like this. He started the year on the street, was signed by the Cardinals, sat behind Bethel, the opposite starting corner from Patrick Peterson down in Arizona, and finally Bethel was benched. They put in Tramon Williams, and Tramon basically balled out for the rest of the season. I mean, I can't overstate how well he played last year. And I know it's funny, today I had a bunch of people citing PFF to me, which is fine. I get it. That's the information that's out there. My longtime friend Jeff Barber, who I grew up with in Appleton, actually sent me a screenshot of something from PFF's analysis saying, I had no idea how well Tramon Williams played last year. I've been saying it for weeks. Tramon Williams balled out in Arizona last year. Now, there's no telling, what's going to happen going forward. You can't just plug him in and say that's exactly how he's going to play next year in Green Bay, but the signs are good. He has kept himself in shape. He's playing at a very high level, and he is familiar with the scheme. So the signing makes a lot of sense. He's 35. Yes, he is 35 years old. Terrence Newman's still playing really good ball at age 39. If you keep yourself in shape, you know the system, you got a chance to compete. That's an interesting question. Do you have a social team at Packers News? Is your main source of traffic organic or social? Sounds like you're trying to get some tricks of the trade here. Either that or you're trying to sell me something. Thoughts on the draft? Would edge rusher be the top priority in the first round? Seems like cornerback depth is, the cornerback depth in this draft is much deeper. Much deeper. It's a very talented class at corner. Whereas with edge rusher, it's very thin. I've been saying it. I'm going to keep saying it. I think they really should try and get Harold Landry if he's available there at 14. If all things are equal, I think they should go with the edge rusher. That all depends on their evaluation of the prospect. But yes, I think, especially after last year, passing up lots of pass rushing talent in a class that was deep with pass rushers, this year it's not nearly as plentiful when it comes to the edge rushing talent. I think if it's there at 14, they've definitely got to take it. That's just me. Let's see. Do you think we go after Josh Jones? They don't need to go after Josh Jones. Josh Jones is on the squad. Chances of BJ Raji's coming back. It's not a Facebook chat until I get a BJ Raji question. Thank you. What's up, Columbus, Indiana? How are you doing? Are they drafting at least 2 defensive backs in this draft? I think there's a good possibility. And I'm not ready to say it's going to be Ron Wolf in 99 when he went 1, 2, 3. Corners all in a row. But I do think there's a very good possibility you see at least 2, if not 3 defensive backs in this draft. Yes. Where's the beer? It's Friday. Tyler, you got that right, man. That's a great idea. I'm going to jump. I'm going to go get myself a beer. Thanks a lot, everyone. I'm sorry if I couldn't get to your question. They do come fast and furious, but make sure you're checking PackersNews.com for all the latest. We've got everything on the Matthews visit, on Tramon Williams signing. Deshaun Kaiser spoke today. Got a great story on him from Ryan Wood. Make sure you check all that out. I'll be back on Monday, unless there's some breaking news this weekend. Then I'll talk to you then. Otherwise, have a great weekend, everyone. Talk to you soon.